Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we are having a special meeting dedicated to the capital budget. So I'm calling this meeting to order. Thank you for being present and giving us a quorum. I know everyone has busy work schedules. I myself just had stuff doing right at 5 o'clock, so I had to rush over here. First order of business, though, is a non-capital budget item, is the Park and Recreation Advisory Commission. The Planning Commission appoints an individual to elects appoints, whatever you want to call it, for a term of 2 years. Mr. Barberi is not here tonight, but he made it known to me last night that he'd be interested in being reappointed to this term. Unless someone else would like to seek that, and we can have a vote. Otherwise, I'm glad to see Mr. Barberi reappointed to this commission.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Coop.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zadelis. All those in favor of Mr. Barberi, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. Now we go to the capital budget. I'll start out by quickly summarizing under the charter 6.12 that what occurs in this process is each of the departments and commissions of this of the city, including the schools, submits projects they would want to be considered as capital projects for the upcoming fiscal year by January 15th. It is then the duty of this commission to review these projects with reference to their necessity, their conformity with the comprehensive plan and sound principles of city planning, and in regards to the financial resources of the city. We then review each of these projects. Once we review them and approve them, they go to the mayor for his submission to the city council by April 1st. I believe it's March 31st. And he submits those that we have approved. The first order of business I'll ask is Commissioner Zadelis, you are the finance director. Was there anything you would like to bring up at the outset about the city's ability financially to handle these projects?
Mr. Chairman, as I was speaking prior to the meeting opening with Commissioner Lamphere, this request is pretty much overstated. It's hedging our bets. As an example, I was saying that walking through the stormwater, the city has numerous flooding problems. In starting last year, the mayor had a focused approach to stormwater and getting that attempting to get the flooding under control. So what we have in here are what I will say worst case scenarios. As an example, in FY26, you'll see numerous stormwater categories. It's anticipated that at this point in time, we're going to pay for these with capital proceeds. Concurrently, we are applying for grants. So in the event we get a grant, we will not have the need to borrow. So overarching, this is a very aggressive capital improvement program, primarily in the Department of Public Works, similar to the fire department. The fire department has a desperate need for computer equipment. They have a provision in here to replace their computer equipment, but concurrently, they've filed for a grant similar to the stormwater explanation I gave. In the event that the grant comes through, we won't be borrowing it. But now, generally, you'll see if you go to the bottom, the city anticipated borrowing, which summarizes all the non-school, and I hate to segregate the school, is 20 million. Of that, we probably have sought grants for more than half of that. So a general statement is no, I have no concerns about the city's ability to meet our obligations going forward on this. And just as a process, we're not going to go to the bond market July 1st. We're gonna pay for these with notes, cash flow. So we only borrow what we need to fund projects. And approximately a year from this upcoming August is when we'll go to the bond market with only what we need for proceeds to fund the capital plan.
Thank you. And just to be a little bit more specific, we certainly, as you indicated, we have the financial resources for these projects, and that funding these projects, we would certainly have enough, would be consistent with prudent financial practices. We wouldn't be excessively in debt or any of those types of issues, correct, Mr. Director?
Mr. Chairman, simple answer, no.
Are there any questions or for the finance director regarding in general the financial resources of the city for these projects? Go ahead,
Just one
Vice
quick
President
follow-up.
Coop.
Do I understand correctly that some of the spending that we may approve on capital projects may come from previously authorized bonding? So this doesn't necessarily mean we're authorizing new bonds for all of this.
There will be some new bond authorizations. Getting too old. Authorizations, the schools, we have, still have unbonded proceeds of 51, fire, approximately fire and police, 17 million. Public buildings, 8 million, recreation, 4 million in authorizations. The one that we may have to authorize some money is going to be in infrastructure, which is, commonplace. And we're gonna do it not capacity. We're going to do it through a normal authorization through the council.
Thank you. Last thing I'll just say for the record is today, every year I ask the finance director for kind of a projection of where things are headed regards to net debt service, retiree obligations, such as OPEB pension and as well as sewer. And based on what the finance director gave me today, compared this year, compared to the next 2 years, it seems very stable to me. I just want to put that on the record.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, one of the things that I did not factor into that is when we're doing a bond, the ban interest, I will capitalize. So the number I gave you is higher because I couldn't tell you what the cap I is going to be. So the report is again a worst case scenario.
Thank you. We will now proceed to presentations and public comment. What I will do is after each block of departments such as school, public works, I'll ask for someone from the audience who is here to speak to it or someone here at the commission who can speak to it, and then I'll take public comment after each one. So first up is our school department. Is there anyone here, to talk about the school department?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, as you may not be aware, Mr. Ed Collins, who was the school department plant guru, has gone on to greener pastures. Mr. Collins's replacement, I think the gentleman's name is Mr. Jepson, has been here for all of about 10 minutes. So what I said I would do is I would do the overview of the school department. This is what's before the commission right now is the finalization of last year's capital improvement program, where we authorized 76 million, which was the completion of the $130 million worth of projects authorized by the general public 3 years ago. And the balance of the 40 million, which is nested in the approved 24-25 budget, with the $10 million for the AES charter school in FY 25-26.
Okay, are there any questions, first I'll ask my colleagues, are there any questions for the finance director regarding to the apprenticeship school request of $10 million? I'll have a few questions for the director, but I want to give my colleagues a chance first. Okay. Mr. Director, could you give us a status on, it says last year we authorized approximately $4 million. Just like to know what the status of the project is, what's been expended to date, more or less, where the thing is on the, if I understand, is the purchase of the new property and the renovations to it.
Okay, if I may, Mr. Chairman, the city of Worcester is now the proud owner of Four Shop Drive. We closed on it last week.
The city of Cranston?
I'm sorry, the city, no.
They have, they can have that too,
Hey,
man.
hey.
They have that, they have the ballpark, go ahead.
Worcester's annexing Cranston. The city of Cranston is now the proud owner of Four Shop Drive. The city has under contract Secosha and Associates to do the design development and a cost estimate, so that's well underway. At which time, once Secosha is done with the next phase of work, with RIDE getting additional approvals, we'll put it out to bid and start construction.
Okay, the purchase and sale agreement has been entered into on approximately what was the amount, do you recall?
$3,150,000.
Okay, and that's, if I recall, that's pretty close to its
The appraisal was $3 million.
okay. And therefore you anticipate that the work on renovating the property will begin in the next fiscal year then?
Depending on the timing, it could actually commence
Over
Yeah,
the summer?
no, it would be July.
It would be in the
most likely.
summer, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any concerns about the amount of money that's being requested here of $10 million? Do you think it should be less? Do you fear that it could be more?
Mr. Chairman, the 10 million mathematically completes the 40 million. All the 40 million authorized has been spread out between the projects between 24, 25. The 10 million authorizes that last 40.
Mhm.
So that's all there is. One thing that I'm trying to understand here in the city of Cranston is what's the process in the event one project comes in less? Can we transfer it to another, project such as the AES school? I can't find in the code or the ordinances or the charter what that mechanism is, but the replacements, they will come in lower. So in the event that the charter school comes over, there will be resources still in the, the $40 million bond authorization. If we need to move it up or reassign those dollars, there's got to be a way, but I haven't found it yet.
And one last question to you on this is, this is part of my ignorance on this. In regards to a school department project such as the AES, does the city oversee the construction of it? Or is it managed by the city or managed by the school department?
Through the chair, the primary contact for any school construction paid by bonds by the charter is the school building committee, for which Mr. Correo is a member of that committee.
Okay.
So they'll go out through their OPM, solicit bids. The bids get approved by the school building committee, transmitted to the board of purchasing, the BOCAP, and get approved by BOCAP, and any contract is executed by the mayor.
Thank you. Are there any questions from my fellow colleagues for the finance director regarding the school department? Okay. Is there anyone here in the room that would like to make public comment on this project? Please state your name and your address.
Hi, Lindsay Tavares, Executive Director of the Apprenticeship Exploration School. Just here tonight to be available to answer any questions and to thank the Planning Commission for your consideration of our project.
Thank you, Ms. Tavares. Seeing none here, Mr. Lima, is there anyone online that would like to comment about this okay, there's nobody online except Mr.
Correct,
Marcelo.
there's no public comment.
Okay. I tired him out last night, yeah. Okay. All right, we will then, what we will do is we will continue on through each of these projects and then we can have discussion and votes at the end. Okay. Next group is Public Works. I know Commissioner Correo could not be here, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask for indulgence?
Yes.
We have two departments here. Is there any way we?
Oh, yes, we have a first come, first served basis here. We did this last night too. Who came here first? It was Mr. Piscopolo for Park and Rec, right? So you come on down, Mr. Piscopolo, and we'll deal with your projects. And then the other department here is the fire department. Okay, then we'll deal the fire department after you. I can say, okay. Okay, Mr. Piscopolo, just state your name and your title.
Yes, Stephen Piscopello, Director of Parks and Recreation, City of Cranston.
Okay, Mr. Piscopello, could you kind of just give us an overview of the projects you are seeking our approval of tonight?
Oh, okay, sorry. Most of the projects that we're looking to fund is to get new equipment that is old and needs to be replaced. We have a garbage truck that's fairly old that needs to be upgraded. We have some fields and playgrounds that need attention, mulch, new equipment, replacement parts. And the emphasis the next 4 years is to try to upgrade that whole infrastructure in regards to all the playgrounds, basketball courts, tennis courts. So we're really making a big push to try to, upgrade our infrastructure in regards to our facilities. There's also some historical value to down the road in regards to the 4 or 5 year plan with Cranston Stadium. Baseball has a rich history, goes back to Yogi Berra, the likes of Yogi Berra playing there. Used to be underground dugouts that were very authentic to the place, and unfortunately we have dugouts with roofs that cut the sight lines away from the spectators that are in the stands trying to watch a game. I'm a little bit of historic for anybody that wants to see what I mean. Just go up to Hope Road and look at the Briggs Complex, and I just want to bring the historical piece of that back to Cranston Stadium. That is the crown jewel of our network. Other than that, it's basically we're just trying to upgrade our infrastructure across the city.
Thank you, Director. I have some questions for you, but before I ask them, is there any questions right now from any of my fellow colleagues for you? Commissioner Lanfear.
Hello, Mr. Capello. I have a couple of questions on Cranston Stadium baseball project. You noted that it's been many years since that has been redone.
When I say many years, the dugouts were taken out of that facility about 20 years ago. So it's been 20 years.
Was the field itself upgraded more recently than
The
that?
field itself is going to be upgraded this coming spring. It was
So-
in the capital budget last year.
Okay.
And unfortunately, because of weather restrictions, we weren't able to get it done last year. Cranston East and Cranston West High School baseball fields are scheduled for work as soon as the weather breaks. I'm in constant contact with the company, and we're hoping to get that done before the season starts.
Thank you. My recollection was that we had approved something.
You
And I
did.
could not recall.
225,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the other question I had was, one of the requests was for a new proposed track and field site
Yes,
or complex or facility
yes,
for Cranston East.
correct.
I did note that it said site to be determined.
Correct.
So could you give us a little more information about what is
Sure.
being proposed?
One of the things is obviously the Cranston East does not have a track for their track team. There are various sites that we're looking at. Myself being new, we're just going through that preliminary process. One of the places we talked about was Cranston Stadium, but to be honest with you, the infrastructure to change it around the way it is might be, it just might be so costly that it's not really something that we can take on. So we're trying to look at alternative sites at this point. At this point, I don't have a particular site that comes to mind that we've spoken about.
Thank you. And not to put you on the spot, but I think that you sort of hit exactly what my concern was, is that the estimate of what is being sought in terms of the amount of money, it seems that perhaps you don't have enough information yet to accurately determine what you might need.
I think if we were to go to a separate site other than Cranston Stadium, the $2 million might be sufficient. If we were to do it at Cranston Stadium, it wouldn't be sufficient.
And that amount would have to cover acquisition of the property, perhaps,
Potentially,
and all of the work that would need to be done.
correct. But we're trying to look at what we already have as the priority.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for the director? Okay. I have a few questions for you about three aspects.
Sure.
Following up on Commissioner Lanfear's questions about the track. Are you looking at an outdoor or an indoor facility or a combination thereof?
No, it's going to be outdoor.
Oh, okay. Is there any need, because it's a site acquisition issue, you put it out for fiscal year 27. Do you have any interest in moving it to this fiscal year in case a site comes available and you want to acquire it?
At this point, it's not a priority for this year.
Okay,
If something does come up, I don't see it down the road happening that quickly. I think it's a great, it's a great thing to think about, but realistically, with the sites that we have, I don't think this year is going to be the correct timing with it.
okay. I just wanted to give you that flexibility
No,
if
I
you wanted
appreciate
it.
that.
Okay. Then I have to now talk about a couple of things that are different. Dog park. I did not see you provide, I read every page that comes in. I did not see a dog park page. Do you want to talk about the dog park? There's a dog park page?
Yes.
I did miss it then. It was never submitted then to me. No. Okay. Okay, could you tell me why we need a dog park?
To be honest with you, this is a project that I inherited.
Okay, you don't want to talk about it?
I'm really not in the
Oh, okay. I'm all
position to
set.
talk about. I don't know enough about it, to be honest with you. I've only been here for 5-6 weeks, so I'd be lying.
Okay, like last year, I voted against this thing, so. The other question I have is the 6090 Diamond Field in Western Cranston.
Correct.
A little league or a big league?
No, this is 6090 is a regulation size baseball field
For regulation for what group
for,
of,
for like a high school age kids.
so it's, is
it's
that
the-
like big league?
It's regulation size, which is big league, high school division. Currently, other than Cranston West, the western side of the city does not have a 90-foot diamond. And Hope Highlands Middle School has to travel to Khaleesi Field on a daily basis to practice and play their games. We're looking somewhere in the Chafee Complex as a possibility. They did put a softball field in back of Hope Highlands. There's land back there. I'm sure that there's gonna have to be some remediation done. But I think a complex that has both of those fields would be pretty dynamic, to be honest with you. But I can tell you from a baseball standpoint and, you know, taking my cap off as the director and putting it on at Cranston Western Little League, it's something that is a necessity for that side of the city.
Thank you for addressing necessity. The reason I'm asking is this, and I'll ask you to comment on it.
Sure.
So in our comprehensive plan on page 10-9, we look to the National Recreation and Park Association for sorts of like standards. And it lists here in Cranston, by our population, we have, you know, baseball, Little League, 18 facilities, baseball, big league, 7. But the number that's recommended for our population of our community is 12 for Little League, 3 for big league. So we're exceed the amount that's generally recommended. So the necessity for you is the location issue? Is that the problem? Like, where's the, is that what
I
the?
think what's happened over the course of time is Western Cranston the population has obviously increased. The number of people playing baseball and the families participating have increased.
Right.
And you can even talk about playgrounds in that aspect. There's more playgrounds on the east side of the city than there are on the west side of the city. Why? Because the east side of the city is a little bit older as far as population wise, and the west side of the city is up and coming and still growing. So I think the discrepancy starts with that.
Okay, so it's basically, it's the shifting of population that maybe we have a lot of fields, but they're more located where the population is now growing and we haven't moved the facility towards that. Basically, there's not enough facilities for the population growth in the western half.
I'll give you, for instance, the kids from the western side of the city who want to play Babe Ruth baseball or senior league. They travel to Fay Field, which is fine. That's great. I mean, because Cranston East does a great job with that. But that's just an example. It's a lot easier to facilitate a program when you do have a field. It's very difficult without a field to facilitate a program.
Last question on this issue. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to follow up on that a little bit because in my past life, was involved in many discussions along this line and completely understand the geographic challenges of not having a field that size other than Khaleesi and Fay, but we spent a lot of time looking for a location and could not find a place to put it without really taking out the Cal Ripken field at the Chafee Complex. So my question really is not the need, but how realistic is it you're going to find a place to put it? Because that's a lot of wetlands behind Hope Highlands. And even if you fill it in, I don't know if you'd be able to fill it in. So before we authorize spending money, how realistic is it that you're actually going to find a place to put it?
I think it's realistic only to the point where you do have existing fields there already, pretty close to the wetlands that are there. And when they built the softball field, they had just as much wetlands when they built the softball field, and it seems to be fine and working great. So again, I think it's realistic to at least look at it and take a deeper dive into that project. And at that point, if it doesn't look like it can come to fruition, we'll have to move on.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Last question on the last two-part question on this for me.
Sure.
If you find that there is an excess of baseball diamonds in the eastern part of the city, first of all, do you find that there's an excess need? What I mean, like there's more baseball diamonds than really being used? And then second, if that's the case, would you consider repurposing it?
Right now, all the fields that I see are being used. And the fields that were baseball fields are now being transferred to girls softball, which is extremely popular.
Right.
And
Okay.
so I wouldn't transition any of the current fields to anything other than what they are already. I just feel as though the leagues that are in existence and the programs that come with them, including USA softball, AAU baseball, there's more than enough participation to fill these fields on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you. And just, I thank you, Director, for giving me the dog park thing. And, okay. And do you want to, have you read this?
I've read it, yes.
Do you want to talk about it?
I rather,
Okay, that's why, there's a couple of things in here I could ask some questions about. Go ahead, Commissioner Lampier.
So I seem to recall voting against this last time, but I want to just play devil's advocate for a moment and engage Commission President Frias and ask you if this was worded as a park for adults, humans, to go, which allows them to take a pet with them, would you have a different opinion? And the reason why I ask that is I'm a dog owner. I don't particularly care for dog parks, but I will tell you today I drove to Barrington. So I would be able to walk my dog off leash in an area and I get exercise because I'm able to walk on a path. I'm not sure that you need, what I would personally support has to be areas that have all of the gates and the whole thing, but somewhere where people can go. Because as I look at the project need,
Mhm.
I would agree with you. I'm really not all that interested in whether the dog is socialized and has, but there
Yeah.
are people who live in a neighborhood who would enjoy walking in an area with their dogs to socialize with other neighbors, and it is a form of recreation. So I say that only because I think we, in terms of priority, this may not be the proposal that we find most important at the moment. But I do think that some area, whether that it's improved or just has trails and doesn't have much more than that, where people are allowed to go with their pets to get physical exercise and take their animals with them, is not necessarily a bad idea and is something that Parks and Recreation validly considers.
We can probably have, when we get to discussion, I'll say is, I have voted against the park. However, it's, for me, the necessity is a requirement. I don't see the necessity yet of a dog park, especially with the needs that they're saying here about dog socialization. I'd rather hear about them converting a park or getting a new park. We can talk about it. It's how I need necessity. And so I'm unconvinced of the necessity of this project as presented.
the one thing I will say is what we want to try to avoid in having a dog park is instances where kids are playing t-ball or playing baseball or football, and they go down to get a baseball and there's something else there.
Oh, I remember this as a
That-
kid.
And
Yeah.
it's because a lot of the dog owners, which they have every right to, if they see an open space, they're taking their dogs there. The unfortunate thing is they're not picking up after they leave, and that leaves a terrible, terrible mess for kids that are 4 or 5 years old playing t-ball.
They'll leave so I don't know how dog park basically works, but I assume that messes are left in dog parks too, sometimes. So anyway, that's all I had about the dog park. Is there any other questions for the director? Okay, thank you. We're all set,
Thank you
Director.
so much, appreciate it.
All right. Next, we'll bring up the fire department. Hello there, chief. All right. Thank you. Would you just want to give us a quick overview of what you're proposing for our vote tonight and why you need it? Before you continue, Chief, I made a mistake. Is there any public comment who likes to be heard on the Park and Rec issues? Mr. Lima, can you just check online if there's anybody who wants to be heard on Park and Rec?
There is no public comment online.
Okay, thank you. I got distracted by the dog park.
Would you like me to go through all of them?
No, you
the whole-
just the one, certainly the one that's this year, and if you want to go through
Okay,
the others,
this-
it's
all right,
okay
this
too,
year.
but.
Okay, so our engine six, they're on, right now, they're on their second reserve engine. They're out in the western end. I'd like to get them replaced. Need to get them replaced. If anything happens in the far western end, it's gonna be quite a bit of time before a second engine shows up on scene. So that is a high priority for me. Bear with me, I'm new at this and
Don't worry.
replace the fire department server, which is outlived its life. That's the computer system. Renovate some of the stations, try to do some repair work in some of the stations. We have stations that they're over 100 years old. They run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every day they're open. They have well outlived their life.
Okay. Is there any questions for our fire chief on the fire department before I ask any questions? Okay. Chief, I just have a couple of questions. You were requesting in the out years a headquarters. Are you thinking about moving your headquarters? Or is this about fixing up where you are right now?
I would like to take a wrecking ball and move.
Okay. Where do you
Yes.
want to move to?
I
No idea yet?
No idea
You,
yet.
you want to go to Arlington School? I've been trying to.
I'll go wherever you can get me. I'm trying to move my maintenance division and
It's
I
got a lot of
can't get them
space,
a
you know?
place to
so,
go to either.
Okay, oh.
Space is a commodity here.
yeah, okay. My next question is on the training facility. You're asking for, let me see this, like about $2 million. How much does it cost you to, if I recall from the chief last time, not you, your predecessor, I think you guys go to Warwick for your training?
No, we go to the State Fire Academy has a burn building, but that burn building is run with propane, natural gas, propane out there.
Yeah,
So there's really no smoke in there. There's just fire that you can turn on. It's like a big gas grill. And
Yeah.
it's a nice facility. We also run to down I forget, Dunn's Corner. There is a burn facility there where you can burn pallets and hay. That's more realistic. We do go there. We do 2 burns there every recruit class we have. We try to get 2 burns there because it's more realistic with the smoke and the heat and the thermal layering and flow path and all that.
how much does it cost the fire department for use of these training facilities every year?
I'm unsure. I'm unsure.
Okay.
I've never done it. I've never.
Oh, okay, so this is why I've asked this about it last year. You're asking for $2 million, which basically comes out to $4 million when you add the interest, and then you're dividing it over 20 years. So this is a significant, this is kind of like, I'm trying to do the math quickly, probably around a couple $100,000, of interest and principal. And if your training fees are less than that, then it doesn't make cost-effective sense to me.
But we could train more on duty. We can train on duty doing live burns without taking our trucks down to Dunn's Corner or down there, taking taking a whole shift down there to do a live burn training. We have nowhere to do live burn training
Mhm.
or any training for that matter in the city of Cranton. We don't have a training facility or training grounds. We pretty much go around. If there's a house that's being demolished, we'll go and we can use that house sometimes. I know we use the one up on Phoenix Avenue,
So you,
over by 295, which they don't come up very often. We
Mhm.
can't burn it. There, you can't do a live burn, like burn a house today. DM does not allow that.
Mhm. So you believe you need your own facility because you need to use it more than when you can't use the Dunn's, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, the Dunn's Corner, is that what you called it? The Dunn's
Yeah.
Corner facility?
Yes.
So the problem is that you don't have access to the Dunn's Corner as much as if you would have to a dedicated facility, is that
Well,
the
I would
problem?
be taking I would be taking crews that are working on duty and shipping them down there. Or I would be paying them overtime to go on their time off.
The Dunn's Corner?
Yes.
Okay.
They say we have no training facility. The Cranston Fire Department has never had
Mhm.
a grounds where they can train on with anything, not just live burns. You can train hazmat, vehicle accidents, MVAs, all kind of.
Do you have any
situations.
idea where you want this to be in the city of Cranston?
Well, we figure we don't have one. The police are having an issue, so we try to jump in with them because that's probably our best shot of getting anything.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, if
It's
there's,
to go in with them, that
Yeah.
might lower their, we would have a building up there, they'd be able to utilize that building too for any of their forcible entry or whatever they do.
you don't have a particular locations
We don't have a location, we have no location.
that you're thinking about on,
No.
right? No, okay. Any other questions for our fire chief? Okay, thank you, chief. I think we're all set. Is there any public comment here in the room that'd like to be heard on the fire department's proposals? Mr. Lima, is there anybody online?
There is no public comment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now do the Public Works Department. I know Mr. Director Carrero is not here today. I don't have, personally, I'll direct the questions to the finance director to the best he can answer it. I really don't have any issues personally with any of these things here. I just would say on two things. One is the City Hall Annex. Do you have a particular location you're looking for at the?
Mr. Chairman, with the opening of Gladstone, there are 3 potential schools that will become available. So, it will be conversations with the mayor and the superintendent on the declaration of surplus, or do they have any other use? That's the proceeds, once that is determined, what will be the City Hall Annex.
Okay, so
To
one of the
start
schools,
architectural in engineering design.
so it'll be one of the old schools you anticipate.
We would anticipate that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The other question, this is more of a question for you than Public Works in some ways. Some of these trucks appear to me they have useful lives of like 15 years. They're started.
Mr. Chairman, I anticipated that question. So as an example, if I just may, the Parks Director's trash truck will be bonded for a less useful life. The dump trucks that, are going to the highway division, we run them out 20 years.
Right.
So those would be issued as a 20-year bond. So the bonding will match useful life of the respective equipment.
Thank you. That's essentially my questions. Are there any questions from my colleagues for the Finance Director on Public Works? Okay. Seeing none, are there anyone here in the room that would like to make public comment on the Public Works proposals? Seeing none, Mr. Lima,
There is no public comment.
thank you. We will now move to the Police Department. The Police Department has a couple of proposals. I will ask a couple of questions to you, Finance Director, to the best of your ability, you can answer it. This SWAT vehicle, is this, I read the very detailed proposal. Is this, have you ever seen one of these things
Mr. Chairman, in the movies.
in the movies? So this is like the SWAT tank, isn't it?
It's picture Die Hard when they went after the not Capone rebuilt the building.
Yeah.
It's on a situation where you have a barricaded, shooter where they get up to the house. So it's a very robust vehicle.
This is the enclosed police range issue. I have read numerous newspaper stories about this. Basically, it's my understanding, and you can correct me if you know, if I'm wrong or not. The noise level from that area is consistent with our zoning ordinances and noise ordinances, right?
I believe so.
My understanding that the city is now getting rifle noise suppressors.
That is correct yes, that's a correct statement.
Is it the hope that those noise suppressors will reduce the amount of noise?
That was the intention of purchasing the suppressors.
Thank you. And I read in the articles that the area is being used less and less by outside police departments and only by the local police department. Is that your understanding as well?
That is my understanding based on the rental revenue that we've seen. So that's a correct statement.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from my colleagues about the police department to the best of the finance director's ability to answer? Seeing none, is there anyone here make public comment about the police range or anything in the police department? Seeing none. Mr. Lima, is there anyone online that popped up in the last few minutes?
There is no public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. We will next move to, let's see, IT. Is there any one, I would assume it's you, Mr.
If I could,
Director?
Yeah, this is two requests that we had last year, scheduled out for 2 years. Quite honestly, both of these are cyber-related issues that we have our equipment handling right now, but both the servers and the virtual environment, looking forward to next year, are out of life. I mean, this is probably the last year we're gonna get out of both. I would also like to call their attention, our IT director has already sought out grants trying to get these replaced this year. So in the event we get the grant money, cybersecurity, these would disappear out of next year's capital budget, but they are much needed hardware upgrades.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions for the finance director on the IT issues? Seeing none. Are there any people here who would like to make public comment on the IT issues? Seeing none. Mr. Lima, is there anyone online to make public comment? on
There
that?
is no public comment.
Thank you. Next is libraries. I know you're not the librarian, finance director. Do you have anything you'd like to add about this bathroom stuff at Auburn?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, the actual proceeds that are gonna be used for this construction project, for this library, we already have the cash. So it was residual from the last work they've done. So the librarian identified an issue. I've personally never been in these facilities, but he seems to believe there's a need for this upgrade, and we have the actual proceeds in hand.
Understood. Last time I was at the Auburn Library to go to the bathroom, my kids were pretty small. I was living in Eden Park, so it was like over 15 years ago about now. So I don't remember what the bathrooms were like. Any of my colleagues have any questions about libraries that the finance director will do his best abilities to answer? Okay. Anyone here like to make public comment on the library's request? Anybody on public, online that would like to make comments about the library request?
There is no public comment.
Excellent. Okay. So now we will move. I think we've covered it all. If I've missed anything, please let me know. This is pretty small print. Okay, we're doing pretty good here. I think we can get out of here in about an hour, lightning speed. All right. As is tradition, we've done over the last couple of years is we vote on this on blocks, like we vote for school, then we vote for public works, and we consider amendments on all of them. So the first one I'd like to consider is the school department. On here, we only have one item for next fiscal year, none subsequently. I'd like to make just a comment about this particular item. As people are aware of, most of us, this was a controversial item of discussion last year for the commission. I questioned the necessity of the proposal due to the fact that I did not see that they had evaluated all their alternatives, such as the Arlington School, and whether or not the laborers would contribute, the laborers union would contribute to this project, since it is a collaboration, and the district charter school in Providence, the school is actually owned not by the city, it's owned by the person they work with. With that said, at this time, I recognize that the building has been purchased. Therefore, the building has been purchased, the money will be spent, and therefore to approve the purchase of the building without its improvements does not make sense to the taxpayers. I also met with Executive Director Tavares. Last year, she invited anyone from the commission to go visit her facility. I took her up on the offer before I did this vote. I looked at the facility. I recognize that it does need improvement. I recognize also that the large building, where the construction work is actually done, would need to be created at an alternative site such as Arlington. The amount of noise there could be a problem for the neighbors. We'd have to soundproof the area. There'd be issues involved with that. Seeing that Arlington could be a problem there, I recognize that maybe this area is the best possible choice. That still remains why the laborers have not contributed to this project. However, that is essentially a decision of the school department and the administration why they do not require the laborers to contribute to this. So for those reasons, I'm going to be voting in favor of it. Sorry for the long-windedness, but I do this for the record in case somebody criticizes me someday. Thank you. Anyone else have any comments about this thing? Okay. Motion time. Made by Commissioner Zadelis, seconded by Commissioner Mancini. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Oh, the whole thing, the whole thing, the whole thing. That was easy on the school because it's all zeros on the other. I was thinking about how nice that looked, by the way, all zeros from a fiscal conservative perspective. Public Works, listen, Public Works. I personally see no amendments here. Is there any discussion about Public Works? Okay. If there's no discussion, motion approved by Commissioner Zadelis. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Exter. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. Police. I would like to make a motion on this police thing. I'll be making a motion to amend to remove the shooting range. Excuse me. 5 million. I have voted against this thing year after year. And I'm going to say for the record again why I do so. You have to have necessity. I don't see the necessity. Based on information, the shooting range has been there since the 1950s. And the development has arisen around the shooting range since then. When people buy property and they buy property knowing that there's a shooting range that makes noise, they are moving towards the nuisance. They knew what they were buying when they bought the range. I mean, when they bought the home next to the range. I don't see the necessity. I have public information that the school department, Mr. Vesey, Mr. Fontaine, who I both know because they were in charge of those schools when my kids went through them, both have indicated they have not received complaints. Certainly, there's been no wave of complaints from the students there. I also recognize that efforts have been made to reduce the noise there, although the noise has been, first of all, I'll say that the noise levels arising from this area has not violated our noise ordinances. Also, the city has taken steps to reduce the amount of noise emanating from this area. Namely, one, they're reducing the usage of the shooting range from outside communities, and two, because they are now getting rifle suppressors. The combination of all these things indicate to me there is not a necessity for an indoor shooting range in this location. So I'd like to make a motion to amend to remove the shooting range. Let's see, do I have a second for this motion? Seconded by Commissioner Zadelis. Is there any debate about this thing? Go ahead, Commissioner Mancini.
My question is, if we remove it, we can never add it back in?
It comes back next year.
Oh,
It's every year, they can propose it again. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of the amendment to remove the shooting range capital project, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Any other amendments to this? Okay. Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the police request as amended?
So moved.
It's moved by Vice President Coop. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Exter. All those in favor of the amended proposal, the police department say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Fire Department. Fire Department, I'll just make this comment for myself. I'm dubious about this training facility. I've removed it in the past. This chief gave at least a better argument as to why it could be beneficial to have it here, and it's not in the next fiscal year anyway. I can just let this go, and when it gets to I'll say this finance director, once it comes before us on the year for approval, I really want a cost benefit analysis about does it make economic sense to have our own training facility, or is it cheaper and more cost effective to go to another community and do that? But because at least the chief gave me some reasons why it's important to have one here, I can understand, I'll let it go. Is there any other comments or discussions about this fire department proposals? Motion to approve for the fire department proposals made by Commissioner Dell, seconded by Commissioner Mancini. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to it signify by saying no. Ayes have it. Park and Rec. All right. My only here, I have two comments. I believe the director has given me a good reason as to why the western side of the city needs a 60-90 baseball field diamond. I'll accept that. Oh, I apologize, see. Motion to approve IT unless somebody wants to talk about it.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Coop. Motion was made by Commissioner Dallas. All those in favor of IT signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Park and Rec. I will agree to the 60-90 diamond on the western side because of the need for some recreation facilities in the west. I think in the Mr. Director Piscopolo's representation that the eastern side facilities are being heavily utilized for softball. I'm a skeptic of the dog park. Basically, the reasons given for the dog park is things like dog socialization. If we're gonna have a park, we have parks in the city. and they can be used, or it can be repurposed to have a dog section that's a dog. I could understand that. But getting a park for dogs and the purpose being dog socialization among things, to me, I don't see the necessity of it. Last year I voted against it. It was removed. And so I'd like to make a motion to remove the dog park. Commissioner Coop?
If I can make a comment.
Sure.
My concern aligns with yours on the dog park, but I also have the same concern about the 60-90 baseball field. I believe we need one, not only because my kids were in that situation and I was driving to Fay Field for baseball games, but because I was involved with the search for a field for the Hope Highlands Middle School team to play on. My concern is we looked long and hard and could not find a location out there without major site work. And still questions about whether it could be done because of wetlands issues. So I hesitate to say, yes, we approve the spending when you don't know where it's going to be. If they came in and said, we found a location, whether it's the dog park, the training facility, the baseball field, then you can have a more informed conversation about it.
If I just may
Commissioner
say,
Zadelis?
we're very thin in terms of our ranks. So in terms of prioritizing someone's workload to try, whether it be the chief's training facility, if we don't at least identify something in and out yet, but
Commissioner Zadelis, I think he can't, the microphone is the
I
microphone.
apologize. If it's out there 2 years, at least it will get them focused on looking for a facility. If we take it out 2 years out from now, we're not even gonna, try to find a site. So it's a catch-22. If we have the need, it doesn't, we're not going to advance that project, borrow money, but at least it would get someone thinking. So I put it this way, I'm not advocating, but where he has already left, I'm just, trying to give the devil's advocate.
Yeah, the diamond, by the way, is in the next fiscal year.
I didn't see that, so I am less concerned with that.
Okay. All right. Anyone else to ask general comments about this thing? Okay, I'll make my motion to take rid of the dog park. If somebody wants to second it, we will have a discussion or a vote.
Second.
Second by Vice President Coop. Is there any discussion about the dog park? Okay. All those in favor of removing the dog park from the, removing? All those in favor of removing the dog park signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Okay, I don't know if you voted yay the first time or nay. Would you vote? Okay, so you vote nay. So nay, Mrs. Commissioner Zadelis, nay, Commissioner Lampier. So the motion passes to remove 4-2. All right, with that, do we have a motion to approve the Park and Rec budget as amendment? Seconded by Commissioner Exter, made by Commissioner Zadelis. All those in favor of the Park and Rec Department as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. I think the last one is library. Any discussion on the library? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve library proposals made by Commissioner Coop, seconded by Commissioner Mancini. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. I think that's it. Commissioner Zadelis? Why don't we do that just for fun? Will you approve, motion to approve the capital budget as amended? The motion to approve made by Commissioner Zadelis, seconded by Commissioner Coop. Vice President Coop, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, 6-0. All right, I think the motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those nay, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.